The new ID Buzz, the new electric Volkswagen van, it's actually pretty awesome. I wasn't really that big of a fan of the previous one. I thought it was too small to be really all that practical. However, there is a new longer wheelbase version of the ID Buzz. It's coming to America. It's coming to the United States. It's coming to Canada. It's coming to Europe, the UK, Australia. Volkswagen are really focusing on this car, which is quite a surprise. But here are the details. And here's why I really think this is going to be a big seller for Volkswagen. It's an impressive car. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. So you already know that Volkswagen have already basically reinvented the Combi van. I love the Combi van, even though our Combi van always broke down. That was the story of my young life. We had a Combi van, I think, for around 5 or 6 years. When I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, when I was in primary school, I think we got it when I was about maybe 6 or 7, 8 years old there. And I remember it was really lucky we lived on a hill because that thing would almost never start in the mornings. Carburetor, what fortunately we could do was jump start it. I think it must have been a manual car. I don't remember, but it must have been a stick shift because we would just park it angling downwards when we parked it because there was a good chance we would need to roll start it in the morning. That thing broke down so many times, I lost count. I think this new version, it should just be a little bit better than that one. Now, I'll tell you that story. I'm sure my dad's going to hear that and say, yeah, I remember those days. And well, honestly, I remember those days. And I've got to say, as a kid, even though it kind of sucks to have your car break down, at least we were able to roll start it. But I remember it broke down sometimes and we just couldn't even roll start it. It was just, yeah. Anyhow, that thing's probably worth a lot more now than what it was when we sold it. And we bought our next car was a Toyota Tarago van. And that thing lasted forever. It did break down a few times, but it lasted for a long, long time. Well, this new ID Buzz Electric, the long wheelbase version, I think looks even better than the short wheelbase version. It just looks right. And it's significantly bigger on the inside. Volkswagen say their new ID Buzz Retro van is coming to Los Angeles. Well, it's already in Los Angeles, actually, right now. They're showing it there, and so you can go check it out, I think, if you want to. It's in a few dealers there. So yeah, it's coming. It's a global car. Now, whether or not it really does come to Australia anytime soon, Volkswagen is saying it's coming to Australia in 2024. I really think that's unlikely. A lot of people think it's more likely North Korea is going to get electric Volkswagens before Australia does. And that's an exaggeration, I'm guessing, but yeah. Anyhow, there's no current electric Volkswagens on sale in Australia, just to let you guys know that. We would love an ID4 like you guys have in the US and like you guys have in many European countries, but we don't have them yet. Now, Volkswagen says that the launch of the new ID Buzz will be perfectly primed for its launch in North America, where it plans to celebrate Volkswagen Bus Day, but it'll also be rolled out across Europe. The stretched ID Buzz adds 250 millimeters or 25 centimeters to the wheelbase, and its overall length is around 5 meters. This means it has enough room for an extra row of seats, a third row. Now, incredibly, the normal version of the ID Buzz can't actually fit 7 seats. That's how small it is. So I'm not sure how that qualifies as being a van. I've never heard of a van not being able to have 7 seats, but I mean, this is the real version now, I think. Not really the stretch. This should be the real version. I'm guessing it'll sell a lot better than the shorter version. What do you think? Let me know what you think. The longer wheelbase frees up space, apparently, for an 85 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is an increase of 8 kilowatt hours from the 77 kilowatt hour pack in the launch model. And Volkswagen say that it'll add range despite the extra weight being a factor, saying the fitment of a new efficiency boosting heat pump is enabled them to get more range from the same battery pack size. I honestly think it could do with a bigger battery. I mean, there's a lot of smaller cars with 100 kilowatt hour batteries in them. Put a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack in this, get 500 kilometers of range. That to me is the sweet spot. I think range on this car, 400 kilometers, I think it's a little bit too short for a family car. Clearly this kind of car you'd be using on road trips, right? Families would take this thing on road trips. Maybe the range could do with a bigger battery pack. Let me know what you think in the comments. To give you an idea on the comparison to this model and the original ID Buzz, Volkswagen says the standard wheelbase single motor ID bus has an energy consumption of 21.7 to 20.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That's on the WLTP cycle. That equates to a range of 402 kilometers and 423 kilometers. The larger ID bus will have a new rear-mounted and quite powerful 210 kilowatt motor. That's about nearly 300 horsepower, and that's an increase significantly on the 150 kilowatt version that goes in the shorter wheelbase version. So it's got an increase of 60 kilowatt, and that's quite a bit more horsepower. There's about 90 more horsepower. So I reckon they should put that motor in the smaller one as well. Anyhow, the power bump. They say it'll mean this car actually can do a reasonable speed. The other version was really slow. Now this version will do 0 to 62 miles an hour or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.9 seconds. I think that's a good speed. The last one, the shorter one, does it in 10.2 seconds, which is pretty slow. The top speed has also seen an increase. It now does 160 kilometers an hour or 100 miles an hour, up from the 145 kilometers an hour of the shorter one. The dual motor all-wheel drive GTX version with power output of 250 kilowatt, 220 kilowatt in the shorter version comes in 2024. Volkswagen says it'll do the 0 to 100 time in 6.4 seconds. That'll make it one of the fastest vans in the world. I mean, 250 kilowatt, that's, 345, around 350 horsepower in an electric van. That'll be a really cool vehicle. I reckon that'd be a great family vehicle. Other new features launched in the larger electric Volkswagen bus include a heads-up display, an upgraded next-generation infotainment system, and remote parking via smartphone. In addition, a newly designed panoramic sunroof with smart glass brings back memories of the legendary Samba bus of the 50s, says Volkswagen. I don't think it looks like the Samba bus of the 50s, but whatever. It's the biggest glass roof the company has made for a production car at 1.5 square meters. That is a big roof, and it can change from clear to opaque via a touch slider or via voice command. So you can just say change and it will change. That'll be a fun feature for the kids, I reckon. North American versions will also feature air-conditioned seats and an illuminated Volkswagen logo on the front. Delivery of the first ID bus starts in North America in 2024. Almost parallel to the market launch in North America, the ID Buzz long wheelbase version will launch in Europe. So next year, Europe and North America, I'm guessing Canada and the United States, plus most European countries in the west of Europe anyway, will get the long wheelbase version of the ID Buzz. I think the interior of this car looks interesting. It looks very utilitarian, but it's also stylish. They've done a really good job. I actually think this is probably Volkswagen's best electric car in terms of the fit, finish, the execution, the design of the exterior, the design of the interior. I think most people would agree with that. Well, let me know if you agree in the comments. Like the Multivan and the Transporter T61, all ID Buzz vehicles will be produced at the main plant of Volkswagen's commercial vehicles in Hanover. So it won't qualify for the incentives in the United States, the IRA incentives. I mean, it doesn't really matter because there's nothing much else in this category, but it just means that it'll be a bit more expensive. Volkswagen is an extremely strong global brand with a great history, millions of loyal fans, and legendary products. This is clearly evident here at the largest Volkswagen bus festival in the USA, said Volkswagen's brand chief, Thomas Schaefer. So what about the regular version of the ID Buzz? When's that coming? Well, Volkswagen say that's coming next year as well. Plus, they have the ID cargo vans, which will launch in 2024, with the first vehicle set to arrive in 2024 or early 2025. It's all happening for Volkswagen. Keep in mind, Volkswagen Group, they've spent, well, not spent, but they're about to spend $200 billion. $200 billion. That's more than twice as much as anyone else is spending, way more than twice as much as anyone else is spending. I don't know which bank is giving them loans for this. This is just unbelievable considering they've already got $185 billion of debt. I mean, that's second only to Toyota, but fortunately a lot of Volkswagen's debt is financial debt, whereas Toyota's debt is pretty much all just bad debt. Big difference between the two companies actually when you think about it that way. However, my key point here remains, I mean, about $100 billion of Volkswagen's debt is non-financial debt. They're going to have at least $250 billion of debt, you would think, by the end of the decade. But hey, as long as they make good EVs, I don't really care. The longer version will be limited to higher volume US and European markets at first before making its way to Australia. So I don't know if that means it'll come to Australia in 2024 as Volkswagen are promising. I'm guessing probably not. Volkswagen Australia has previously said it wants the GTX version, so the more powerful dual motor version, and this new model, the long wheelbase stretched model. So they're saying that they believe it would make up a large percentage of sales. In fact, Volkswagen Australia said this vehicle is a no-brainer. It would just be really, really popular. The ID Buzz is a people mover that stops traffic. People stop, they stare, and they smile. It's an incredible blend of style and function that will capture the imagination of Australians. And it's reflected by our ambitious sales volumes, said Volkswagen Australia Commercial Vehicle Director Ryan Davies. You know what? Volkswagen Australia would love to get this car. They'd love to get EVs. And I think they're trying to get them. And I think they're begging Volkswagen for them. But you know why Volkswagen are not sending EVs to Australia? Because we don't have emissions rules here. We don't have emissions rules. The Australian government doesn't seem to care about having emissions rules. Neither side of the government, to be honest, really seem to care. So we don't get EVs at all. Because if Volkswagen doesn't sell enough EVs in other places like China and Europe, they pay fines. So it kind of makes sense to do what they continue to do. Hopefully, though, this new electric van is sold everywhere around the world, and it takes sales away from gasoline-powered vans. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.